right here is where you can start to explain the health of a house's foundation. So it's first contact with soil. So what you see here in that discoloration and all that stuff that's gathered on the outside of it, this is salt. That is called efflorescence. So this being in contact with the soil and the soil being wet, stone sponges moisture up. So as it sponges moisture up over time, the salts push to the outside of the masonry work. Now this breaks down the block, so it becomes brittle and cracks start forming. So piers like this do need attention because this is breaking them down. And as you can see here, the bases, we don't even know if this one has a base because it's so far under the soil at this point. We know that that one over there is set on a base, but this here, either its base is gone or is, just settled into the ground, because now this pier is leaning. Piers are supposed to be plumb, straight up and down. You can see this one has a hard lean to the back. Now the piers at the front of the house have a lean towards the front. So these are all natural occurrences. It's not particularly special to this one address. This is just, again, this is stuff that happens to homes on elevated foundations over time. But the unfortunate thing is that people come along and they do kind of their own repairs. They're more band-aids than real repairs. So this is a very common occurrence that we find is improper piers. So the way that those cavities at that bottom block right there are facing, that's not properly oriented. That's not the way that that block was designed to structurally carry weight. It's meant to be flipped up with the cavities straight up and down. That's where it's strongest. So that's improper for that reason, as well as it's been improperly constructed. It's a combination of an improperly oriented block, stacks of wood, a random brick, and then some shimming. And then this one over here you can see is a effloresced spalling block with a broken block set on top of it. So they're just stacking whatever they have available, just to try and put some support underneath it. Because that one has a splice in this beam, you can see, and they've got that pier close to it. It's not a proper pier, so it's going to be addressed anyway. But you can see up front here what happens whenever they don't put a beam, or they don't put a pier close enough to a splice in a beam. As you can see, that splice is sagging, so it's not holding up straight. It's splitting where they come together because it doesn't have sufficient pier support beneath that splice. Other things that we look for and find constantly are moisture intrusion into the flooring structure. So I normally find these at entry doors and elevated patios. That is a porch. So that's an opportunity for rainwater to gather on an elevated surface and then wash in here. So the top of that porch is right about there, so the rainwater gathers on the porch surface and then washes in and then rots out the floor joists, subfloor sometimes, beams sometimes. Right now, this is caught earlier on, so only the floor joists are actually rotted. There's a lot of moisture staining, but the only thing that's rotted right now are the floor joists. So that's why it's important to keep up with your maintenance on your crawl space. These areas are hardly ever gone into, and over time that just makes for more deferred maintenance with a larger bill. So these are the things that we're finding on this 68-year-old home's elevated foundation. It's all very common, but it's all part of maintaining an older home with an elevated foundation. Rusty chunks of cast iron pipe everywhere. Subterranean termite damage. They ate into the first 3/4 of an inch of the surface of the beam. Whenever you're talking about a 4x8 beam that just doesn't do anything to its structural integrity. Corner pier tilts down and out. This one tilts out. Just as the ground they're on is so wet. Slowly drifts out of plumb. It's not enough to, make the home structurally unsound, but as everyone has mentioned, it is enough to make the floors wonky. So, it provides an explanation. Hey, this low point here, which I imagine there's a splice behind that little piece of wood there, that might be the pier, which looks like it is badly damaged, kicked, and leaning. And I see some damage just behind that one. Alright, so looks like this is the pier that's supposed to carry the beam splice. This is the beam splice here, which is sagging, disjointed. What is not? It's on side. So nothing on this foundation itself. Wood rot. So it's not from wood rot, it's just because that pier right there is so damaged that the splice in the beam is no longer being properly supported. It's supposed to be much higher than that to take this much fall out of both directions. So they're gonna have to put a jack under that and jack it up. So write that up for damaged pier. Handyman repairs. See what foundation repair guys charge you. You understand why some people charge themselves. It's really an awesome testament to the hardworking nature of this realtor, as well as their experience in the industry, that you definitely want a home inspection done on your crawl space, even if you are going to have a foundation contractor come out to give you a quote, because they are trained to sell you whatever they can, and our reports are just a third party. We have nothing to sell you. We're going to give you the nature or the condition of your crawl space and elevated foundation as it stands at the time of the inspection. So definitely kudos to the realtor for having the foresight to do that.